As promised, head coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, joins us here. And coach, obviously this time of year, all anyone wants to talk about are the college football playoff rankings. And your team is kind of this lightning rod because people, I think, have a hard time equating, oh, well, they don't really have a top 10 win or a great win. But you look at the numbers, you've got the biggest yardage and yard per play differential in terms of like powerful opponents, your top 5 offensive, defensive efficiency. As a coach, like how important do you really take like the strength of schedule versus like the actual statistics and efficiency metrics to really determine a great team?
Well, as you can imagine, I spent very little time on it, right? We focused on and I think that's the key. You know, I do know that we played in some big games this year, and there's a reason that, you know, Fox Noon shows up. There's a reason the game day's there. There's a reason that people pay attention to our games, and it's not our fault if we win games when we go play people, right? So, you know, all we can do is go play the game, the people that we play, and the rest takes care of itself. I tell our players, go win, right? If you want to be in control of your own destiny, go win. So that's what we have to do. As we approach the stretch, and it's not about the playoff yet. It's about this next game and about SC.
Last year, you played into January, obviously, and this year you're hoping to do the same. What did you learn about preparation last year in a long season that's helping you now in November prepare your team to play USC and hopefully some more games this season?
Yeah, just navigating, you know, the sports science behind taking care of our guys as well. And, you know, it's interesting. We've actually had some injuries this year that we didn't have last year, and most of them have been non-contact. But player load, you know, there's things that you want to be really conscientious of as you get later in the season to make sure your guys are fresh. You know, the way our season's been set up here, it's built a little bit better from when our bye weeks fell to make sure we can recharge these guys' batteries. But, you know, in my mind right now, we're in the third quarter of the season and entering that second half of the third quarter as we play this game against USC.
Coach, I'm sure you don't care what the point spread is, but at the same time, I'm sure you knew that Vegas said you were going to lose to Penn State. Can the point spread ever be used as motivation?
I mean, of course, right? But ultimately, there's always a lot of motivation out there. And if there's anything we can find that can make a chip on our shoulder, you know, that's something that we want to be able to utilize.
Motivation. You just said it. Our guy over here with the 4X Oregon hockey jersey, he cannot get enough of the Ducks versus them videos. He has got me locked in. And I'm going to warn you now, Tom Rinaldi is aware of them now, so you're probably going to get a call about it. Like, who comes up with this stuff? The Gladiator episode last year where time around, I love that. Like, is that you? Is it a combination of you and staff, players? Because those things, honestly, are fantastic.
Yeah, we put a lot of thought into it, and it really starts in the summer. I work with a guy, Corey Schaefer, that helps us with, you know, sports performance and really mindset training for us. And then as the week goes, we're going to adapt and change based on what do we feel like the message, how does it need to shift, how does it need to change? And all we want to do is find out different ways to say the same thing over and over again and get our players to repeat it. And sometimes that message is a little bit different. Sometimes it's the same, but it usually always plays into our game plan for the game and how we want to attack the opponent.
Coach, talk about how your offense this year has been so multiple, and depending on what game it is, right? You run the ball against Iowa, you pass the ball against Minnesota. How do you prepare sort of each week to have that different variety on offense?
I think you always walk into a game leaning in on, okay, what do we have to be able to do to win? And, you know, we've played in some games that were tough weather this season. You know, Iowa's a good example of that. Wisconsin's a good example of that, of, hey, we're going to have to win these games maybe in a different fashion because it's going to be tough to throw. But when you have a team that can do it all, you know, that's the toughest team to defend. And I'm a big fan of high school coaches. I feel like they always do the best at adapting to their personnel. And that's something I think our offensive staff has done a really good job of this year is, hey, who's available? How can we use them that's going to create stress for the opponent? And what runs and passes do we have off of those looks, right, to create the variety you need?
How is this team better on November 20th than it was in the summer, Coach?
Yeah, the maturity of this group. You know, I think anybody that asked me walking into the season, you know, what are we missing? And you're going to say, okay, we don't have the leadership. We lost, you know, 10 guys to the NFL, and you're going to have some inexperience. Well, right now we have experience, right? Young guys have played, and right now these guys are shown to be a mature team that can handle adverse situations. You know, multiple 2-minute drives this season have mattered for us. Overtime games have mattered for us. We've been stuck in tough situations having to win tight games, and our guys have done a good job of it.
And the toughest situation, that game at Kinnick a couple of weeks ago, rain, bad weather, wind, just a weird game, and you're sitting there with the ball needing to score late. That drive really, I think, answered a lot of questions with people nationally, like, is Dante Moore really the guy? They're shorthanded, down receivers, down linemen. How was the sideline like prior to that drive? Like, how hard is it for you to like keep these guys loose but serious and knowing the schedule? Because it was a perfectly executed 2-minute drive. You had shots in the end zone even if you wanted them. Like, everything about that drive just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I'd say the players had better composure than me, but I probably was good at hiding it. You know, you're excited in those moments. It's tough, but you walk into that game and you're down 3 starters on offense, and you know, overall it's a different environment, and obviously a tough one to throw in. But for us to be able to go and execute, I thought our players had unbelievable composure. They're reminding me throughout the game, hey coach, let's take a deep breath here. You know, they're resetting. They had really clear focus, and you know, I think just moments like that build confidence for your team. You know, they've seen us in that situation. They know how to attack it in the future.
Obviously, no bias here from a former Oregon Duck, but I do feel like the defense is not getting the national attention it really deserves. It's been fantastic this season. You obviously have a tough test this weekend against those USC wide receivers. How do you prepare to face a passing attack like that when you really haven't faced it so many times this season?
Yeah, you know, you always say, let's take away the opponent's strength. Well, this team is tough. You know, they run the ball for over 200 yards a game. They throw it for over 300 yards a game. This is a team that's really successful. So it's a challenge, but this will be a great indicator of exactly where we're at on defense. And really what we've done to this point, it doesn't matter. It's about what we do this next game. And I do think we have good players. I think we have good scheme, but this is certainly a tough challenge. And it's about every single play individually having a life of its own, and us going out there.
You guys always look fresh too. I'm curious if we could rate this fit here, Coach, with the 4X Oregon sweater. Look at what do we think of this fit by Schwartz?
It's nice.
He looks good, man. But the question is, what are his shoes? Because that's really what would set it off.
He's got Crocs and socks on, Coach. Who are you kidding?
What I was afraid of. That's what I was afraid of. The old behind the desk move.
I have a large shoe. I wear a specific brand that makes wide shoes. And I would be open to switching if another brand made very wide shoes as well. I'm open for that suggestion, for that switch. But I got 3 of these, man. I got the whole. I support the whole Oregon hockey team. They're fantastic.
Speaking of suggestions, back in the day, Chip turned us on to Beppe and Johnny's and La Perla Pizza when it was there. When Big Noon finally gets out to Eugene, and we were close this week, and we were finally I want to get the show out.
Thinking y'all were coming, man.
Where are we going to eat when we finally take the show out there?
We got some spots. You know, Sabai's a good change up. I'm a fan. Kennedy's the new steakhouse in town that's pretty good as well. But there's depends on what flavor you're looking for. We got it all here.
Yeah.
Beppe's is hard to beat, man. That's about as good
we got
as
the bookends here. I mean, I'm certainly not turning down anything these days. So, Coach, appreciate you joining us. I know it's a busy week, and as you prepare for SC and UW, and then hopefully the playoff. Thanks for spending some time with us, and best of luck to you this weekend.
Glad I could hop on. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.